Hi everyone, you remember my little angel Solstice? Look how big she is. Solstice, hello. Hello angel. Hi. Good girl. So I said I was going to come back with notes. I can't do notes, but what I think I'm going to do instead is I'll do a series of videos talking about different topics, and that way I won't get lost and ramble on. So in the first video, I'm going to talk about what is manifestation and how does it work. And obviously everything I say is my personal experience, my personal beliefs, so take it as it resonates. I'm just giving my opinion on it. But manifestation is basically, for me, is using your intention to shape and change your future or your reality. So manifestation involves a thought or a desire becoming an intention, and this shifting what happens in your path, in your future. So I think there are lots of different forms of manifestation. There's spell work, and that involves, usually people doing spell work will call on, maybe they'll ask Saturn and Jupiter, maybe they'll ask spirit, maybe they'll ask their ancestors, maybe they'll work with elemental forces, but they'll work with energies in order to set an intention and shift the reality. Then there's the law of attraction. So you may have come across The Secret, for example, or Abraham Hicks. And this is all about getting in the right alignment with what it is that you want so that you can match it vibrationally, because you can only have what you already are vibrationally. That's the kind of premise for law of attraction. So if you want love, you need to vibrate the energy of love, and love will come to you. These are kind of like the Hermetic principles as well. For me, manifestation is all the same. Then there's the law of assumption. Law of assumption, a lot of people prefer because it's kind of easier. It's just whatever you assume is what you get. So think back to patterns in your life. Maybe you assumed that someone was going to leave you and cheat on you, even if it wasn't what you wanted. Part of you maybe thought, well, that's going to happen. That always happens. And then, boom, it happened. That's the law of assumption. It's like whatever you think, whatever is your dominant belief, whatever is your dominant thought will manifest. So it's not like every thought you have manifests instantly unless you're really good at conscious creation. It's more like whatever you dominantly believe and think will manifest. So it's really much more about the little everyday thoughts you have in your head. So for example, if you're working with the law of attraction or the law of assumption, you may be doing affirmations, which I'll talk about in another video. But those, if you're sort of working with the law of assumption, even if you're doing about 100 affirmations a day, if you're then thinking against your affirmation for the rest of the day in terms of the little thoughts you have in the back of your head or the conversations you have with your friends, that will actually be your dominant belief, and that will be the thing that ends up manifesting. So that's where it's a kind of Neville Goddard is, I guess, the king of law of assumption, but he was taught by someone called Abdullah. There are lots of teachers of this stuff, but Neville Goddard is the one people kind of know and talk about on YouTube a lot. What was I going to say about that? Anyway, it's basically, the mental diet. So he would say that you need to keep a strict mental diet, which is the same as a physical diet. If you want to lose weight, you don't indulge in certain foods. A mental diet is like only focusing on the things that you want to manifest and not focusing on the niggling thoughts. So for example, you want to manifest love and you're like, I am love, I am loving, I am loved, I am worthy, I'm a goddess, everyone loves me, doing your affirmations. But then throughout the day you're thinking, no one loves me, I'm so unlovable, this is bullshit. Or even just thinking, manifestation doesn't really work, does it? When's it going to work? All of those things are contrary thoughts. And so your dominant thoughts would actually be your doubts about manifestation, and that is what would manifest. So people sometimes think like, oh, I've done my affirmations but nothing's happening, but that's usually because the rest of the time they're having these other thoughts, and that's where mental diet is really important. I believe spell work, law of attraction and law of assumption can all work, and I have got results with all of them, and I also think they're all the same thing basically, and I think it's all about belief. And I think this is the main ingredient in any spell you do. This is the main ingredient in any kind of manifestation work you do. You don't need to necessarily believe in the affirmation you're saying, but you need to believe that the process of doing whatever you're going to do is what makes you manifest. So you could believe that having this crystal is going to do something for your life. You could believe that rubbing your nose is going to make you thin. You could believe that doing a cartwheel is going to mean that you marry the love of your life. And if you truly believe that that process will work, it will work. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like a placebo. It's not really a placebo, but it's the easiest way that I can explain it is that whatever you assume is going to work is going to work. And that's where the law of assumption is maybe, it's saying, there's something in it for me, because it's like, that's why everyone manifests in different ways depending on their belief system. So some people may believe that if you go and pray in a temple to a certain god, that will work. Other people may believe that if they pray to their angels, that will work. Other people may believe if they affirm till they're blue in the face, they'll get what they want. Do you see what I mean? So I think it's basically about belief, but my personal belief is in angels and spirit world and things like that. So for me, my belief is that I am a co-creator with the universe. Now, what is God? What is the universe? How does it work with manifestation? People who believe in the law of assumption would say that God or the universe is you, that basically we all have a bit of God energy in us, and we came here to experience what it's like to be a human, having an experience as a human, but we have a bit of God particle, I guess, in us. Now, please, I'm probably like paraphrasing this badly. This is my take on it, okay? Don't come at me if I'm saying it wrong, but let me know your thoughts in the comment of how you interpret these things if you're studying the laws. But it's like we all have a God particle in us almost. And so God being universe or higher consciousness or whatever word you want to use for it. And when we're in that state, that's like the creative state, that's the manifestation state. And that's where states are really important in law of assumption, because it's like getting into that God state means that you can manifest. But yeah, so that would be one way of looking at it. Or another way of looking at it, which is more law of attraction, is that there is the universe or God kind of outside of you, but also in alignment with you, but also we are all one. So we're all connected, but basically it's almost like with the law of attraction, it's a bit more of a, not a begging energy, but it's like, universe, please help me do this. Do you see what I mean? Whereas law of assumption is much more like, I'm the God of my reality and this is done, like I'm doing it. Law of attraction is much more like, okay, I want to get into the vibration of what I want, and universe, please bring it to me. And then spell work is very much so like, I respect my spirit team, I respect my guides, I respect the elements, I respect X, Y, and Z, help me do this. Often, if I do spell work, I'm appealing to Saturn or Jupiter, because they're kind of like the mob bosses and they control the lessons and things like that. But honestly, it's like whatever you believe doesn't matter. I mean, I kind of believe in all of it. I believe we have God in us. I believe there is God outside of us as well, the universe. I believe that we can create our reality, but I also ask for help sometimes from the universe. And because I believe that it will work for me, it works for me, so it's fine. But you don't have to believe in God or the universe. You can just believe that if you affirm stuff, it will happen. And if you're a scientific person, which I'm not, so I'm not going to butcher the science on this, but obviously there's like psychological reasons why if you affirm and work on your self-concept, you will create a happier, healthier life because you'll break out of your old programming. And there are reasons for how you can rewire your brain and create new, oh God, what's the word? Like new connections in your brain basically through affirmations that will make you happier and that will mean you have healthier relationships. So you can also just believe that it's a kind of psychological process, or that manifestation is something you do where you wake up in the morning and you're like focusing on your goals, so it makes you more likely to achieve it because you're thinking about what you want and then you're going to make actions towards what you want, right? So you can believe any of these things. It's kind of all the same thing. You don't need to worry about it. The main thing is just believe that you have the ability to shift your reality. Believe you have the ability to shape your reality. Believe you have the ability to have a better life. Believe you have the ability to be loved, and know that you're worthy of it. Know that you're worthy and deserving of it. And don't get caught in the trap that a lot of people get caught in when they're trying to manifest, especially as a specific person, where it's all about like self-concept, which is important, but they get stuck in this like really toxic weird thing of like, but I need to heal myself, I need to work on myself, I need to keep healing myself, I won't get it unless I've healed myself. And they get stuck in this kind of endless, needless shadow work. It's like, no, work on your self-concept for yourself, but it's not actually crucial in all manifestation anyway. You can have what you want just because you want it and it's possible to have it, okay? I don't like doing specific people or specific things because I'm someone who does believe in the universe and spirit and things like that. And this is a deep-seated belief that is proven to me. And this is where I think some of the law of assumption people miss something, because yes, I've seen that a lot of them manifest whatever they want. They've manifested marriages, but then they've got divorced. They've manifested like multiple specific people. They want to change their specific person. That's fine. But it just shows me that like, maybe if they went more for a like general what is in my best interest thing, they would just manifest that and then manifest other areas of their life, but it would be for their higher good. I don't know, that's my belief. Again, a lot of people would say that's a limiting belief I have, but my work as a psychic is so like unexplainable and undeniable, and it's just 100% I believe that there's a higher thing going on that I can't even fathom. So it's like, I would prefer to trust in that thing to guide me, because I think the team that I work with have a much broader perspective on anything than I do as a person, you know? When I connect into my team of light to give my readings for you guys, as you know, it's not me saying it. I'm literally channeling in all of my readings, unless it's just pull a card reading, my cheap written ones. Then it's more like I'm just pulling a card and interpreting it. But even then I get things from outside of me. But when I'm doing my proper readings, it's not me. And that's why when clients come back and they ask me questions, I'm like, I'm sorry, unless I did the reading 5 minutes ago, I literally have no idea what I've said. Like, it's not me saying it. So I know that I'm working with greater intelligence, and yes, that's what you connect into when you're manifesting anyway. That's what you get into when you're in the God state. But I just know from experiences I've had in my life that certain things have been planned out for me, and it's impossible to think that it's anything other than something that's fated. And people who believe in law of assumption would say there's no such thing as fate, there's no such thing as free will, it's all about you creating your destiny. But I'm sorry, I can't, although I like law of assumption and it's very powerful, I can't agree with that part of it, but that's fine because it's law of assumption. So whatever I think is true for me, so that's cool. But yeah, I just know. And the thing is, with law of assumption, you get something called birds before land, which is where you get signs and synchronicities of something just before it manifests. But I've had signs and synchronicities of things before I even knew I wanted to manifest them, like years and years before, and it's called, I had psychic visions, and that, that's not birds before land. That's me having visions of something that's going to play out that wasn't even something I knew I desired. So for me, there has to be something more supernatural or more spiritual involved in all of this than just there's a hologram we're creating. But so, okay, how can manifestation actually work? Like, what is it all about? So in the law of assumption, people would say that the world in front of us is like the 3D reality. And this is all a manifestation of our past thoughts and beliefs. So everything that we've kind of thought or believed has manifested. Now, this is not to say that we're responsible for world events. I think this is more like what's going on in your interpersonal life, right? Although some people may argue that globally, collectively, we create world events, but I don't even want to get into that because it's just, you know, it's too much to even kind of comprehend. And maybe collectively we do energetically create things, but let's not start like feeling guilty about stuff that's happening on a global scale. If we're trying our best to be good people, like, let's not go down that route. It's good to be informed and be compassionate, but let's not start, you know, the guilt for all of that, which can happen in this kind of manifestation community. I think what law of assumption people would say is that we are directly responsible for like our interpersonal relationships. Neville Goddard would say that basically people are mirroring, that everyone is just a projection. It's basically, Neville Goddard said that everyone is you pushed out. And what I interpret that to mean is, say you're like going on a date or something and you're feeling super nervous, and then the person on the date picks up that you're nervous, and that creates an energy between you, and maybe the date goes a certain way because you were nervous. That's kind of everyone is you pushed out. It's like that person may have responded differently if you'd been in a different energy yourself. And then law of attraction, people might say yes, because energetically you were in this energy and that made this situation go that way. So it's kind of all the same thing. But how manifestation in terms of like law of attraction or law of assumption works is there's a 3D reality, and that's old stuff playing out. So when you're manifesting, you're not meant to pay any attention to what's happening in front of you now, because that is old stuff. So it's like you ignore the 3D while you're manifesting, and that's not like you're delusional. It's more like you don't react. You can feel emotions, but you don't allow yourself to think and start affirming based on what's happening in front of you in the third dimensional reality. So you kind of just ignore it for a while, keep affirming or visualizing or whatever technique you're using, and eventually the three-dimensional reality will shift. And if you were thinking about law of attraction, it would be like, yeah, again, you don't really pay attention to it because you're like, whatever, I'm just going to be in my vibration of happiness. And eventually, because you're in a vibration of happiness, the 3D reality shifts to something that matches you and is happier. Same thing. With spell work, it's like, yeah, you're looking at the 3D reality, but you're assuming that what you're going to do is going to change it. So in a way, you kind of just don't pay attention to it. So that it's all about belief and not reacting and reprogramming yourself. And I think this is enough for the first video. I'm going to make the next one all about affirmations. And then we'll have one on scripting, and then we'll have one on all sorts of things, the different techniques, visualization. I'll just break it down into little things, but this first one is like, yeah. Oh, well, how do I think it works? So personally, is that I think we live in a universe where there are like parallel realities running alongside us all the time. I think that or like multiverses, I don't know exactly what they are, but I think the reason I can tap into people's energy and tell them readings without knowing anything apart from their name and their star sign and be accurate is because I must be tapping into their energy remotely, of course, through my team of light who know better. But also maybe I'm connecting into the future that's already happened and giving the information back. But I also believe the future that's going to happen is based on what is happening within the person I'm reading for and their current assumptions, which is what's going to manifest for their future, which is why I try to say to them, if you don't like this, we can try and shift it. But I also believe not everything, like that some things will happen one way or another, like there's certain routes that we can take, but but we end up in different points in time at certain places wherever we go. the healing hurts have stopped. So that's a sign from the universe that this is enough information for today. But basically, when you manifest, you're connecting into a different reality of a multiverse, and you're not really, it's not manipulation, you're just pulling the energy from that reality into this reality. You're basically sending your future self is sending you love or energy or connecting you in to that place. So you're drawing from your future. And the reason that I think, like, as a psychic, I know what I'm meant to have in some ways because I've had visions of it. And so it's preparing me for my future. And that's why I believe that, well, yeah, who knows, right? But I just know it works. So we'll come back with some more videos about what you can do and how you can manifest. I hope this was helpful. Much love, light, and positivity to you all.